All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for some real people out there just like you and just like me. All right, before I get started on this video, got another musical recommendation for you. This is the band 10, right? They've been around for quite some time. I've ignored them for a number of years, and then I had to go back and listen to them, and they came out with this album back in January, I believe, January, February. It's called There Be Monsters, right? There Be Monsters. And progressive rock, orchestral, outlandish, big arrangements, great vocals, incredible production value. I think that's what blew me away. This album had great production value. Even if you're not fond of the music, it just jumps out from the speakers. Rich, clean, full. I'm not sure how they recorded this. Almost sounds like they went analog and then they mastered the analog recording and cleaned it up because it just has this real organic feel to it. Anyway, Gary Hughes, not to be confused with Glenn Hughes. He's kind of the architect of this band, but just fantastic music from start to finish. 10, There Be Monsters, courtesy of our friends over at Frontiers Music again. Speaking of Frontiers Music, the new Journey album, at least over in Europe, was released courtesy of Frontiers, so that was a big get for them. But, you know, a lot of people have been complaining to me about the production value on the new album. People send me messages. They're like, hey, I listened to the new Journey album. What's going on with the production compared to, like, even compared to this thing? I don't have an answer for you. I don't. I think Bob Clearmountain remastered it or whatever. I mean, the usual great people were in on this. So it had to be the initial recordings, right? And look, these guys had publicly said they didn't want to do this sort of Zoom album where they send stuff back and forth. But that's what they did. That's what they did. Everybody was very frightened to get into a studio together, which is ridiculous, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. When you look back over the last 2.5 years, you think to yourself, what could we have done differently, right? Especially with what we know now. But there's a lot, guess what? There are a lot of people out there that don't know the stuff that they should know about what happened over the last 2.5 years. So when these guys recorded, again, it's like a file sharing exercise. I've got vocals here. I'm going to send this. And then we're all going to combine our work here, or somebody is going to take it, whether that's Narada. And then people are saying, well, maybe Narada wasn't this genius after all. Well, I think he won a bunch of Grammys. I'm pretty sure he worked with like Whitney Houston. I have to go back in the archives, but he worked with a lot of very prominent people, especially in the early 90s. And he's been a great musician for a number of years. Prior to even getting involved with production, he was just really good. And so I think he and Neil probably bonded on some level. And I'm pretty sure I covered all of that. And we were all really looking forward to hearing, Narada Michael Walden and Randy Jackson, right, together. And I think that's still a good thing, but maybe based on how this came out, not necessarily the music, but the way the music comes out of your speaker. There's something a little bit flat. That's a word I've been hearing a lot. It sounds a little flat. Almost like guys who make these recordings in their garage. They've got very primitive equipment, but they manage to record a decent album, good stereo sound to it. But it lacks that extra dimension. You don't have all those tracks that you're recording on. And I think what's happened in this age of digital everything, that the warmth, the robust nature of recordings just aren't the same. I mean, that's why this thing blew me away. And I keep bringing this into here because I was shocked at the sound of this. There's another band called Dukes of the Orient, right? They're kind of like an offshoot of Asia. And they've recorded 2 albums. I have their first one. And they recorded it very differently. They did a throwback style of recording, analog to digital, or just keeping it analog. I'm not sure how the final product was mastered, but it had such a different feeling to it. It was so rich and full and robust. And years ago, somebody told me that all of this digital stuff is going to eventually create music that doesn't sound all that good. It doesn't have the same depth, warmth, and personality. And I got to tell you, as much as I like the material on Freedom, I am, I have to be honest and say, yeah, it's not. If you go back and listen to Escape or Infinity or Departure, Departure was just so rich. And even though I think that was Roy Thomas Baker, who had a tendency to really clean things up, so it was very precise, it still had a nice sort of rich texture to it. And when you go back and listen to anything old on really good stereo equipment, even if you go back to like the 60s where they had that speaker separation thing going on, which is kind of corny, but it sounds cool. It comes in on one speaker, then it goes on to the other speaker. And you could tell this is so analog. And the analog, I think, captures an actual performance, like a live performance, and not like a digitally cleansed performance, of multiple takes. I mean, you don't know the technology today. You can combine the best of every take into one song. And it's like, putting together a strand of code rather than, just guys in the studio who are playing live, and then having that go right to tape and then from tape to digital. I think that's probably the best way to record, but few people are doing that today. And if they are doing it, it's still not like it was with the old equipment. The old equipment, you got the character, you got the flaws would come out here and there. It wasn't perfection, but that's what gave it character, Ann Wilson has talked about how, all of this auto tuning on vocals just, is designed to hide the natural human voice and its imperfections, which again, just give character to the music. So as far as Freedom goes, I still think it's a good album, but, I've been listening to some other things this year, obviously, waiting for Freedom to come out. And I got to tell you, there are some albums out there that have a richer, deeper, fuller production. The Generation Radio album, which I think has Dean Castronovo on it. I'm not sure. He was in it and then he left, and then it's a little confusing, but there are, I think, a couple of songs out there. I know Jason Sheff is on one of them, and it's a brilliant song. And it's got that big, full, rich, you can hear it. The production value is fantastic, I don't know, you got Jay DeMarcus, right, who's a really good producer, who's, making sure that everything sounds great on that. And he basically tries to mimic that sound from the 80s. And he tends to make things a little treble, a little nasally at times, but I still really like his production. So in any event, for those people that have asked me about Freedom, yeah, there is something going on there. And I'm sure someone smarter than me can explain it, somebody who knows, how albums are produced. But I'm guessing that the file swapping, file sharing, back and forth production might have something to do with this. Maybe not, but my guess, this isn't Alan Parsons. I mean, Alan Parsons has an album out right now that will blow your mind as far as the level of production, because that's Alan Parsons. You get him as your producer, and you could have crap material and Alan Parsons produces it and it sounds like a work of art, it's just amazing to hear a guy like Alan Parsons in the year 2022 still doing what he did in like 1978. You know, it's awesome. And we need more of that. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching the video. Again, one more time on 10. And There Be Monsters, courtesy of Frontiers Music. Nice artwork, everything. This is a real full booklet too inside. It's not just like a little insert. Pictures of the band and lyrics and just cool. Just like the old days when you get, and I'm pretty sure when this came out, you could probably get vinyl. I don't know if it's still available, but if you want some vinyl, Frontiers Music, they have it. And if you can order it, just to collect it, to keep it, to support the band, I would highly encourage you to do that. All right, people, thanks for watching. I'll be back soon, and I'll see you then.